let's say you have your so whatever we have done yesterday, it was through app services, right? So assume that you don't have an app service, you have your custom image or the system virtual machine, I can say VM. So how to integrate the VM for the CI/CD process? App service is okay, it is right? So for that, if you are aware of the agent concept, which is used in most of the CI, like I'm not sure if you have used Jenkins. There is a concept of creating nodes, right? So what is node? Node is nothing but another server. It can be VM or any, yeah, mostly those things will be VMs or the Docker container or anything, right? How to connect or create a connection between your master and the node. So that is node concept basically. So what I'm trying to say here, so whatever we have discussed yesterday, assume this is your main server where your dev.azure, whatever it is, right? Portal. You can say for understanding it is master or dev dot, whatever it is. Now here, what we have done, we have created a number of services yesterday, right? App service 1, app service 2. Let's say this was QA, dev, and production. Similarly, now we are not going to use the app service. Assume that this is your custom VM. It's going to be VM. And you have to configure all your own set of configurations you need to do based on your project for VMs, right? VM1, VM2, same thing. You can say this QA VM. This is dev VM. This is production VM. Right? So there is something called creating a agent. Basically, you need to generate some script here in this our dev portal, then execute that script into the respective VMs wherever you want, right? So that way it will create a connection or establish a connection between our dev portal and the respective VMs, right? So when you run the then that's where the agent will get created. So you need to execute that pipelines basically. So the pipeline will be connected between your development. Sorry, this is the dev.portal, whatever it is, and the respective VMs. So how to create that? For that, again you need to log into your portal.azure.com. So our application, I'll come back here, how to link it, like how we have created service yesterday. So portal.azure.com and search for virtual missions. What I'm trying to do, like app services, there is another option called virtual missions. It can be any virtual mission because ultimately you need to execute those. Still have this. Create a virtual mission. See, what are the virtual missions you have? Azure Virtual Mission, Azure Virtual Mission with preset, Azure Architecture Virtual Mission, and Azure VMware Solution Virtual Mission. So based on your requirement, you can select the respective ones, whichever you want, right? You can see the description also, what exactly the create a virtual mission hosted by Azure. Ultimately, you will have a VM hosted by Azure. So, okay, we'll go with this for timing. So again, the subscription is, then select the organization. Which one we have? This is the one, right? And give some display name. PHA word app -VM. Okay. Then let it be the region default image, whichever image you want. You can say anyone, whichever is available. You can say Windows Server, right? 64. So you need to create your some username, password. Public inbound ports. If you want any public ports, you can enable, but make sure that here you need to enable HTTP as well, because I mean the respective ones. In case if you are using HTTPS, you enable HTTPS port. If you are using SSH, by default RDP will be enabled. Otherwise, you cannot connect, right? So that's how you can create. Go to next. Go with the default one. Don't change anything here. System is okay. Go to networking. Not going to change anything here. You should have that all the options, right? Just next. Management, not interested for time being. Just review and create. Validation failed for what? Previous. Did we miss anything? Any value? Basic. Changing basic options manually.
I think password need to be provided correctly.
Minimum 12, right? This okay now. Just creating a virtual machine. See, like this, you can have your. You see here, they are charging 1,000 rupees for this something 1.0 NR per hour pricing for the other VM sizes. You can see here, right? So pretty charge. So minimum thing will be there, whichever it is there. You can see. You can click here and see. So like this, you can create and you can use this VM in the. So of course, you need to enable IaaS, all those things for here, right? I'm just showing you how to use this. So virtual machines. I think somebody was asking yesterday, right? So in case if we have option of other than the app services, how to do that? So this is what you need to do for this. Is it clear? This is how you can create. You need to enable IaaS. Again, there are two options to create IaaS for any web application deployment. So for that, what you have to do, either you can install IaaS by using the web server if you go to any system, you'll have a option like server manager. From there, you can add from roles and features. So from there, you can add, right? So that is one option. And another option is while integrating the VM or creating the connection for your VM. So that time itself, you have an option to create a virtual machine. No, sorry, IaaS. Okay. For this, again, what you have to do, you have to go to the deployment groups. Where is our deployment groups? Go to the project. Again, project settings. We'll find the pipeline. Yeah, deployment groups. Ideally, if you have any VMs which are created, then automatically the VM will get displayed here, because while creating the VM, so you need to link that. So you will get an option to add a deployment group. So you can specify the name here and description. Basically, here you will get some script to execute, like creating a connection between your development, this Azure, and the VMs where you want to execute or the deploy your artifacts. Let me show you in that document. Just give me a sec. Are you getting what I'm trying to say here? And I think yesterday you were asking this doubt, right? How to configure or what do you say? Your private systems to CI/CD pipeline of Azure DevOps. Yeah. Just give me a sec. Trying to attention. It's not connecting actually. Yeah, instead of app service, so you can create a VM, or you must be having your VM. Somebody was asking yesterday this question, same thing. So you have your development, you have your QA, you have your production, and whatever it is. Of course, this slot concept may not be applicable if you are maintaining your on-premises infrastructure. So for this, instead of using the app service while creating your release pipeline, you may have to use a different service whichever is available. So let's say for this case, it is a VM, because it will not be create a release, maybe new release. Cancel. It's a new one, new release pipeline. Here, search for IaaS example, just giving. So IaaS website and SQL database deployment in case if you have, or if you have only IaaS, select this. Same thing like what we have done with the app services. Here, again, you can give your QA server details, right? If you want, you can add the task details, whatever it is, the default things, IaaS website or whatever actions you want. And ultimately, you'll have your steps. right? Deployment group you can select if you want, because we don't have any. If you create automatically that hello world app, if you link it with this application, automatically it will be displayed here. Is it clear? So what we are doing is simple thing. So like what we have done yesterday, we have created a pipeline like this. Once you are ready with your artifacts, deploy this into different environments. It can be a app service, it can be a virtual machine, it can be AWS, it can be GCP, anything. So I am just trying to show another option like what we have done yesterday, other than the app service. Similarly, you have to install the respective service, and automatically while creating your pipeline, you need to select that target based on your requirement. So for that, the deployment will happen. Again, the remaining process remains same, like approval process or creating gates, everything. Okay. Here, while creating your release pipeline, you can choose whichever you want based on your requirement. Okay. In case if your specific uh, service is not available, try to look for in marketplace and install that. that that will be displayed here, then start using that template, right? Two things can be done, whether you can use the template by using install this thing, or the other option is YAML. That's where the YAML is another advantage. You have control, better control with the YAML file, so that you can define your own variables, you can define your own stages and come up with a custom templates. Okay. Of course, the development has to involve for that to write few of the wherever that coding part is there. Most of the time, we will take the development help and they will write the code even for the Azure functions, right? We talk about that as well since we basically once you run this script, automatically the agent will be connected to this here. This is the assume that this is your agent which will be running on the VM, and automatically that will be connected here to configure your agents, right? Add a stage, respective stage, and automatically enable your artifact, which is like CI, and link both of them and continue with whatever it is. Okay, this is one thing. And in last session, what we have seen, creating a service, basically service connection automatically, right? So you have an option to create manually also. For that, again, you have to go to your uh, trying to download a file, but it is not happening. Just to show you guys, just give me 1 second. Get my phone. It is asking for OTP. Bhaskar, is it?
Hello, Bhaskar. Maybe he lost Bhaskar.
Hello, Bhaskar?
Bhaskar, we
Hello?
lost you.
Hello,
Your screen sharing has been.
can you hear
Uh,
me, Anand?
yeah,
Yeah,
we
now
can
we
able
can
to
hear.
hear you. Yeah, okay.
Okay. So there are multiple ways to create your services, right? So one is manual, one is automatic. So what we have done yesterday was like creating a manual, what to say, service. So we can also create manually. So what is the advantage? You can, again, you have few options to select rather than going with the default option. So that's what I was trying to show here. So go to your project settings.
Bhaskar, again we lost you.
Hello.
Yes, Bhaskar.
You can
Screen sharing,
hear.
yes. Yeah,
Okay.
but screen sharing got halt actually. Maybe it's stuck. Can you, because we are
Okay.
not able to see the updated, maybe
Okay.
it got
Just
stuck, I think.
give me a sec. I will reshare it. Just a sec. Let me
Yeah,
know if you can see.
yeah. We are able to see. We are able to see. We are seeing the document, CD document.
Right. I am showing the document. So this is what I was trying to explain actually. Right. So how to create a virtual machine. So create any Azure VM or any VM whichever you want, and install the IaaS. Then install the .NET Core. I mean, based on the applications, that's what I was trying to say. Based on your project, your VM should be ready with the prerequisites, whatever is required, right? So once that is done, just you need to create a deployment group in DevOps project. That's what we have already created these groups, right? So this can be, this is nothing but creating an agent, basically. That's what I was trying to. So either you can run the script from here, you will get an option to run a script. Go to your pipelines, deployment groups. Here we'll get, once you add a group, that's what it's saying. So then install the Azure pipeline agent on the VM extensions. You can go and install in the VM so that the connection will be established. So again, the scripts is given here. Azure pipelines, deployment groups, click on add group, type whatever it is, my AS is the steps. So this is self-explanatory. So nothing actually, okay. Is it clear? Now, I am trying to explain create Azure Resource Manager service connection manually. So again, for this, you have to go to project settings, service connections. Where is that? Load up. We have created this already, but still I'll show you one more thing. Yesterday we have created, right, manually, this one, HFS. Click on new service connection. Again, go with the whatever the template you want here. Service principal automatic. This is what we have created. You can also create manually. Sometimes you may have to create manually. That's why I just thought of touching this topic as well. So again, here you need to select the subscription. By default, where do you want to create? Whether it is Azure Cloud and respective ones based on your requirement. So for us, only it will work with Azure Cloud for time being, because it is a country specific. Again, Azure China Cloud, Azure US Government, Azure German, Azure Stack. So we'll go with the Azure Cloud. Okay. Then subscription ID. Where will you get this subscription ID? Let me minimize this. I have some problem with this. So here you have scope level, whether it is subscription or management group. Assume that if you select the management group, you will get n number of subscriptions, basically a group of subscriptions. Whatever is subscribed for the management, all the things will be displayed here. But we should go with the, we are interested only with the subscriptions, right? For this, again, what subscription you want. So again, you need to select your subscription ID and all. So where will you get your subscription ID? What subscription ID I have? I have my free subscriptions, right? Okay, that is okay. Go to your subscriptions, click on this, right? Here we'll get your subscription ID. Copy that and paste it here. What is the advantage of this? Major advantage. Let's say, whatever the user as an organization, there will be a common account in the portal. But as an individual developer, I want to use my organization because I need to pay, right? If I use my individual, it may not work. So I can use the specific subscription ID and the subscription name. Then I can connect to the specific one, right? We're getting what is the difference by selecting automatic. Automatic means you should have the same ID, whatever is here, Bhaskar.a3 and here Bhaskar.a3. It should be same. Then only automatically it will collect. Otherwise, other case if you have a separate account in the portal, which is a common account for the project, but as an individual developer or DevOps engineer, you want to use that specific subscription, then you can use this manual option. There is no difference other than that. So basically customization, you can give whatever the name you want, like subscription name. Again, you can find everything here. This can be copied actually. No, what do you say? There is that overview of this.
Bhaskar?
Yes.
Yeah, sorry, this is a different trial subscription topic. Bhaskar, when I tried yesterday, because last time I did some POCs in Azure storage, and in the month of December 29th, and got last 45 days. But again, I was created with other account, new account, and they given the same debit card details and provided. But it is saying it is not accepting me. You are not eligible for Azure free account. That the payment method we need to change for a credit card or any not to use the
Are you using the same credit card details?
debit card I am using, but
Something whatever it is,
ID is different.
that
ID
is
at the
fine.
same time.
So what they'll do, they will check actually
Microsoft.
multiple filters.
Okay.
One is your email ID and your card details, multiple things.
So, but I changed my earlier I did with the other account, but I am doing with for the new account.
New account, you must be
New
using
account
the
with
same card.
Yeah, same card. Yeah,
It will not allow because card level also they will validate.
No, I got debited 2 rupees from the Microsoft. I got some auto debit.
That is
like 2
to
rupees.
get into the this thing, initial check.
But see, finally, what the sign up agreement I got the message is you are not eligible for the Azure free account. Don't worry, you can still pay as you. They are asking pay as you go.
No,
Is that
don't
the free
select that.
account?
So like
No.
they'll
I will
charge
not
for
select.
this. I mean, it
Yeah,
may
I
not
know
be
that.
huge actually, but still don't go with that.
No, pay as you go. I know the conditions, but only why the Azure free subscription is not the same payment is that issue?
Yes,
The
you
different
try with a different card, it will allow.
okay, maybe others also face same issue. I don't know because I'm not able to do. But last time whichever the POC I did that got lapse only 1 month. But I'm using different account, but I don't know. I'm not able to succeed that.
Yeah,
Retry.
and they will store your card details.
Card details actually.
The same card cannot be used. You have to use a different card only. That is the problem actually. We cannot save.
If you try to use the same card, obviously they will think that you have already used your free subscription, so you cannot use anymore. Since the card details are already with them, so they will treat it as like only pay as you go.
One more thing, I got auto pay active, merchant Microsoft Business, debit card on file, and tax is 2 rupees, and maximum tax amount is 2 lakhs. Is there and end date is cancel until you cancel. Is there any like auto debit will be due by Microsoft if you are not cancel?
Initially, for free account, they will not do it until and unless if you upgrade to pay as you go.
Pay as you go. Okay, that's what. Yeah, but I got this message because earlier also I checked the
But
history.
better, I think there will be an option to disable. Better to disable. It's safer side.
So, yeah, where should we do this?
You should have got some message, right, to cancel that auto in case. No others.
There is no.
Any other one?
I got only HDFC Bank, like manage HDFC Bank link they are given. That's it.
You
They are
call to
not
your bank
given
and tell that disable all my whatever it is auto debits in case if there are any.
because earlier also I got when the free trial, but it got not debited. Earlier, this message I got a real free subscription when I did it.
See,
Auto
that's
pay
what
and
they say actually. The statement or the condition says until and unless if you upgrade to pay as you go, they will not do any auto debits.
yeah, that is the condition. Yeah. Okay, boss.
I mean, I may be wrong. Correct me if others whoever is using. You see here, it is clearly saying that your free credit expires in 23 days. Upgrade to keep going with your account.
Yes, Bhaskar, you're right. Once we click on that pay as you go, then only that option will get enabled.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Otherwise, they won't did it. Don't worry.
Yeah. Thanks, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks.
So
Bhaskar.
you will get the details from here, whatever the required details. So you can enter here and you can create that custom or the Azure connections, basically service connections. Okay. And there was another question on, okay, irrespective of that, we will try to cover one more topic today. It is like approvals and gates. So what is the difference between approvals and gates? Yesterday also somebody was asking, right? So now this will cover this little bit. So basically approvals is you have to manually go and review this or whatever the conditions you have specified and approve it. Whereas the gates, you can write few scripts. Yeah, I will show you so that it will be easy for you. Hello world app, go to pipelines, any pipeline which we have. Click on this. Here, assume that you need to put a gate here. So that's why gates. Enable gates. I'll disable for time being and I'll enable gates. Let's add some gate. So these are the options you have to add a gate, right? So we can add a gate to check Azure policy compliances, and you can invoke Azure functions. You can write the custom code and invoke that Azure function here so that it will validate or it will wait for that result or the custom code, whatever you have written. So based on that, it will take a decision to go further or not. Again, to write these functions, maybe a developer environment is mandatory because they knows better what is the output, all those things. In case, even if it is specific to a DevOps engineer, always we can go and take their help to write the custom code for the Azure functions. Right? And if you have something related to REST APIs, you can always use the REST APIs. And there is something Azure monitor alerts. So basically, there will be assume that once you have enabled, if you remember, while we were creating app services and all, there was an option to enable the monitoring. So based on the alerts also, we can decide, let's say based on some condition, one alert will be raised. If you receive that specific alert, then send the instruction saying that don't go to the next stage, stop here itself, because so and so warnings are alerts are already arised. So there is no point in moving further, and just stop it here and take a decision. So another one is query work items. So most of the time, what happens with this complete framework, this is linked to your Azure boards, right? That's where we will have our queries. Hope you guys remember. So I may not be going through all these things. Maybe I'll try to explain one or two here. So maybe Azure functions and query. So let's say you have your work items, let's say 10 work items. The condition is like before coming to the basically here from development to QA. Development can happen anything, or maybe here itself between the your CI and CD itself. You can define where you want exactly to filter it out, right? Go to your boards. There will be an option, right? I'll come back to this page. Where is this? Queries. I'll go to work items first. Create a new work item. Basically, you can have your any work item. So for let's say, what are the different work items we have? You have your bugs, you have your task, many things we have, right? Actually, what we have created in other account, that's what I was looking. But we are using a different account, right? Due to the what is that? Where is our work items? Go to work items. Here you need to enable basically, right? So assume that anything, any issue. So let's say the title. Password identified, something, some random thing I'm trying to give here. Just you can add, or probably most of the time what happens here in real time scenario, it will be linked to your, let's say, bug. Generally, bugs will be there, right? So assume that if a bug is still in open state, then stop. Before assume what is the real time scenario? Like let's say I'm the developer. I have finished my coding, everything, and I need to change the status of my bug status basically to maybe it will be a new state, change it to closed. What does it mean? Closed means I have fixed it. So now I'm sending it to the QA team. So QA team will validate that. So like that, you can create your filters while creating itself. So if my state is equal to a state like uh, closed state, then only you add my or continue the pipeline. Otherwise, don't go with this. So let's send a error message saying that there is an issue with the assume that enter a new query. So work item type. What did we create? Title. Which one we have created just now? Work items. It is unassigned basically. Let's say it should be in assigned state. Assume that, right? Issues. Basically, that's what we have created. Issue. So when you're adding a new query, it will ask you work item type. Issue. Issue is if there is any issue, then stop my thing. And state is not equal to is not equal to active. If there is an issue and state is not equal to active, that means active means the issue is still there. So you can create this query, say query in my queries or shared queries. Since we need to use this specific query in our pipelines, if you save this under my queries, it will not be displayed there. But if you save it as under shared queries, let's say open issues or open bugs, whatever it's right. This is the query you have created. Now, if you go to your release, right, edit. Now, if you try to add a condition here, let's say gates, okay. What is this? The delay before evaluation. Assume that as a reviewer or the before taking the action, whatever you are going to define under this, it will wait for 5 minutes. In this 5 minutes, maybe the DevOps engineer can identify, I'm saying just example 5 minutes, say it is not going. So maybe you can validate your what are the work items to the respective developer and ask them to modify the status. So they will go and modify. In case if there are any active issues, they will change the status to something else. It is fixed or resolved or whatever it is, or the bug can be closed. So for that action, actually you can define your time. But for our case example, you can say, I don't want to wait. As soon as you identify the issue, if work items are available, just don't wait, continue with this, right? And query work items. You need to select your query under the shared queries. This is what we have just created, right? Open issues. Now, upper threshold. What does it mean? Upper threshold, the maximum number of matching work items from the query. Let's say the number of issues, there are 2-3 known issues are there, right? You can go ahead with this known issues. In that case, if there are up to 3 known issues, still don't consider and continue with my this thing. Assume that if you have a known issues or known bugs, whichever the query you have written based on that. So like that we can define. There is a high possibility of known issues, right? With this known issues also, we can continue to deliver our this thing sometimes. So for that, we can define this here. I will put it back to 0. And evaluation options. This is also important. What is this evaluation options? The time between re-evaluation. So what happens? Assume that your pipeline will get triggered because this was failing. I mean, this criteria was matching. So it will wait or it will fail the stage here itself because it is matching with the criteria, whatever we have defined here. Let's say maybe number of issues are so and so. So in that case, wait for 5 minutes, minimum 5, I think here. Because if you give 3, it will not allow. So it should be minimum 5 to 1400. So let's say 5 minutes we are giving. So what does it mean? For your first run, let's say it has failed. Now you know why it has failed, and you have another 5 minutes to resolve that issue. I mean, I'm just giving example 5 minutes. It can be n number of minutes you define based on your requirement. So in this time frame, you go and modify the status or the whatever the criteria you want to meet to continue further. After 5 minutes, automatically it will be monitoring and it will trigger the next release. Is it clear? And assume that if your gates are successful, and if you need some evaluation has to be done, you can define that. And timeout after this, maybe I just need after 1 hour, just start continuing to fail this. If it is this criteria is meeting, right? And this is also important. Gates and approvals. Before gates, ask for approvals. Whether before gates going to the approval state itself, you want to execute this condition, or on a successful gate, ask for approvals. Assume that your development here it is successfully completed. Then before going to this, here itself you can, or ignore gates outcome and ask for approvals. Forget about what is the result of my gates, irrespective of how many issues I have, forget about it. And if you want to still continue to go ahead with the approvals, in that case, you select this. Always try to ignore, avoid this, because it is always good. There should be some reason why you have introduced your gates, right? So if it is failing, means there is some strong reason. So instead of getting into the last minute issues in the end user environment, better to fix those gates, whatever you have defined issues, and continue the approvals. Is it clear? Difference between your approvals and gates? One step, this is more secured way of deploying it. Okay. So this, okay. Create a release. Where did we create this? Here only, right? I don't want this. If you click on this, automatically that specific stage will be disabled. I don't want production, right? Just create. Let's see. It is queued. Queued. Why? This is where we have applied, right? For configuration. Deployment not started, which is okay. After the deployment starts, all approvals must approve in sequence within 10 out of 722 hours. Any gates not started, all gates installed. Approval. Approve. So it was waiting for my approval. It is clear now. Ideally, it should fail because we have non-agent. This will fail. Is it clear what I'm trying to say here?
Bhaskar, instead of Azure App Service, we cannot able to deploy other, is there any other option without using Azure App Service?
Hello?
Yeah, I'm audible, Bhaskar.
Yeah, I can hear.
Without Azure App Services, because maybe some resources are blocked. Without the, Azure App Service, we can deploy
Yes.
automatically.
That's what I was explaining. So let's say you can create your virtual VM or the cloud, maybe AWS. I just gave an example here. Here, deploy ASP.NET Core app to Windows virtual machine. Right. For that, you have to create your VM. Since it is free version, you cannot create a VM. So I just showed you the steps.
Correct my understanding. If it is an Azure virtual, it is an IaaS model, right? IaaS where we need to.
Right.
So
IaaS.
if you are in a PaaS model, go for Azure App Service, right?
Right.
That is what the difference. Okay.
It's not fixed. So you can deploy into anywhere.
Okay.
Assume that you have your so this is where you need to select your deployment target. While creating a pipeline, this is failed because of again security issues. You need to enable few ports, port not 3. Access, we don't have access. That is okay. Okay. So there is our pipeline. Is it clear now how to use the gates, how to use the approval process, how to create a pipeline?
The
If
conditions.
you take one example or a number of examples, it remains same. Only the environment will change. That's all here. Instead of app service, maybe the VM. Instead of VM, there will be AWS instance, or maybe the on-premises VM, something like that. That's all. But ultimately, as a project engineer or the DevOps engineer or the respective development team, with a combination of all together DevOps team, you should know what has to be installed on that specific system. Then connecting part, you can do like this here. See, while creating your pipeline, release pipeline, you need to select your app. That's all. Here, a template you select, whichever you want. Or assume that none of the templates are going to support in your environment. Go with the empty. There should be an empty as well. Empty template and customize all the steps, whatever you want. You write your code. Let's say you are running on Linux server with so and so say n number of set of 10 commands. Add those 10 commands in a tasks under this empty one. It's nothing is predefined, nothing is forcing you to follow a specific thing here. So it's all based on your requirement, project requirement. You can customize this and use it. Clear?
Bhaskar, which are some criteria where you discuss about the deployment, like you added the number of work items where the production support freeze the issues, then you'll go for the some criteria. Once they freeze the bug fixing, then
Only allow you, your
allow
pipeline should
you
get
to
triggered further, maybe a
trigger.
deployment.
So
So
once
you can
freeze the
put that
issues,
gate, the gate itself,
yeah.
gates, that's why the gate, the criteria gate, whatever you are defining between your CI and CD itself, the starting point itself. If everything is fixed, everything is, I mean, whatever the criteria I have defined, then only go and trigger my CD. Until and unless, don't touch my CD. Even if you try to, I mean, see why these gates are important. Tell me, when you do the commit, automatically the entire pipeline was triggered yesterday. That's what we have seen, right? But I don't want to do that. I want to continue that CI. I mean, I don't want to disable that. I want to continue that until unless my gates are passed. Right? You have defined your rules to pass the gate. So if you meet that criteria, then only it will allow you to cross that gate. Similarly, you can define your functions here. Create a function app where you will
same conditions. Yeah, same
right.
methods I need to write work items ID, write some custom methods, all other functions. So if that satisfies
that
so while adding
criteria,
that,
whatever you have written, then only go with the Azure pipeline. Yeah.
okay. So the manual conditions you are keeping.
One time manually you have to write, right? Initial, first time you have to write, of course. It's all one-time efforts you need to do. After that, it is okay. So it will be easy. Let's say you have a gate here, pre-approved gates, add a gate with Azure functions. Same story. It will ask you to enter your Azure function URL. And function key. In the URL itself, we'll have Azure URL along with the key. Here, if you create your function, so you will get that key and again free trial. I don't want new one. Select the existing one. Function name, BHA Azure FAN function, right? .NET. This is our .NET project. Whichever the version, automatically it will select, and the region. Review and create. Forget about others, right? So for the, just assume that create. It will generate basically a code. So you can modify that code whatever you want. Submitting deployment. Deployment is in progress. It's taking too much time. Here, you have our ID. For everything, you have to come here. You will get the details, whatever is asking here. That's how you can link basically, right? Go to resource. So this is how you can create your Azure functions. Basically, most of the time we will take developer help actually. This is the code. Is it clear? This is how you can create your gates, all those things. Again, you can use the different methods also. You want put get post, put whatever you want. Based on that also you can define. So as a developer, they knows better all these options. So most of the time we'll take their help to write this coding or the.
But Bhaskar, these conditions criteria where we can handle from CI itself, right? Once any bug
You have to
fixing,
define where you want to configure. Let's say
here, yeah, in the CD we are doing. So in the CI itself, we have the instead of the pre-deployment from CI to CD, CI itself, yes, whichever the bugs and the code, the build will be get ready. Once you freeze all the work items or bugs or development, then trigger a build. We are triggering from CI then to CD, right? Correct my
that you
understanding.
cannot write because it completely depends on a number of developers, right? Not a single developer, right? The scenario will not match there, right? So what is the requirement of, assume that without modifying, without doing, how will I know? Before doing the build itself, say, let's say I have modified my code, okay? Without doing build, how would I know that whether my fix is working or not? Simply by writing code itself is not enough to check, right? You should test it, right? How can you decide whether your fix is working or not, whatever the change you have made? For that, you have to do the build. Without doing build, your objects will not be there. You cannot test it, right? The basic things from the development unit testing. It won't make sense by adding there.
CI only just creating the
No,
setup ready.
you just think, is it a real-time scenario? You have any scenarios like that? Without doing build, can you test something whether your fix is working or not?
Build is there, but yeah. Because what I'm thinking in the CI only will not take we'll publish it in the artifacts. Maybe once freeze only we'll do it now. That I'm thinking like that.
How would you decide without doing the build? Here I'm deciding based on whether my fix is working or not, because my build is done, my artifacts are ready, so people would have tested it. Then you have a result whether it has passed or failed. So based on that, I'm defining my gates. But before build itself, if you want to decide, how would you decide?
Yeah. So there is a pre-condition deployment in the CI/CD before
Those things you
once
can apply,
freeze
the branch settings and branch policies, all those things. But this specific scenario is not applicable in real times.
Okay. So separate builds
You have that
support
set of
builds.
rules, right? Again, you have your approval process, all those things before initiating your CI, right? We have seen that. Before initiating your CI, you have your approval process, all those things.
But that's
Review,
what you're
approve,
saying.
all
Yeah,
those things.
branches. One branch is for production support, where bug fixing. One is for development. One is for R&D. One is for, so we can maintain the 3 builds at a time. Parallelly, the branches where we define in the pre-deployment, yes, production support, the bug fixing has been done. So this build will be parallelly, and the one is the R&D, where R&D is done. Yes, that build is parallelly. So we can do parallel builds with the preconditions, prerequisite on the where the freeze the work items. That's what the these criteria.
Right. For that, if you remember, we have discussed about the file level filters. You can write those filters over the file for CI. There are 2 filters which we have seen, right? One is branch filter, and another one is file filter.
File filter. Yeah.
So there you can manage all these things.
Okay, branch filter. Okay.
Right. Okay, then there are no doubts. We'll see you.
Actually, Azure App Service, because it's not working right. That's what I'm thinking. Why can't we go for IaaS as a deployment? Because we need to see because this Azure app, because of the port issue, it's blocking us not to see any further progress. I mean, deployment. Yesterday also we got stuck with Azure App Service.